just got on I-80 East from Cheyenne, and I'm on my way back home in about 6 hours. This is day 28. Today should be the 30th. Yep, it's the 30th. Perfect. So I am right on schedule. I've been thinking about actually moving. So when my lease is up, and if I have enough money to break it, because I did have to switch apartment rooms, and that kind of pissed off the landlord a little bit. But yeah, as soon as that's all squared away, I'm gonna do two things. One of two things, or of three things. Well, one of four things. I'm either going to I'm gonna move to Portland. I'm gonna switch over my SSDI, and one of five things. I'm gonna move to Portland and switch my SSDI over, and because of the cost of living, it should be pretty higher. But I should be able to move in with somebody. And Portland's pretty cool. It's got a lot of nice people. I would definitely be a lot safer there than I would be probably anywhere else in the country lately. At least that's what I used to say a lot, because one thing I noticed is in Nebraska, where I live, at least in Omaha, Lincoln and the country are a little bit different, but people are extremely aggressive in Nebraska. And, you know, doesn't matter if they're left wing or right wing, they are all just looking for a fight. And there's this like tough guy mentality where people, you know, they need to be tough all the time, and they need to be an asshole, because I guess being an asshole is the new norm. Because if you're not an asshole, then you're weak. Some stupid fucking psychology like that is destroying society. You know, because instead of people being nice to one another, people are being rewarded for being pricks, and they're lifted up by, you know, the other bros or whatever. And Nebraska has that real bad, as well as the political tensions and racial tensions, because Omaha is actually a very diverse country. Sort of. It's plagued with redlining. Most of the black people live in North Omaha. Most of the Mexicans and etc. live in South Omaha, and most of the white people are in West Omaha. Which, to be fair, the white people are still the majority, but you know, South Omaha is literally Little Mexico. It's great because there's amazing Mexican food there, and there's really nice, you know, Mexican pride art. You know, we're general, you know, Hispanic, but you know, North Omaha is more or less a shithole. There's a lot of cool people in North O, but there's also, like, that's where all the gangs are. That's where all the white trash people are. The fucking tweakers. It's, yeah, and they're all aggressive as fuck. Ugh. Sorry, I got a cold. Anyways, they're all aggressive as fuck, and it's kind of lame. So that's why a lot of people are moving out of Omaha. It's because people are just fucking mean. And I've definitely noticed that traveling the country, because even in places like Tennessee, Georgia, or Texas, actually mostly just Tennessee and Texas, like, people will disagree with my existence, you know, as a trans person, but they're still nice to your face about it. You know, they're not going to disrespect you unless you're acting like a fool. They will, however, still take pictures of you and post you online and go, oh my god, what a fucking creep monster. They'll do shit like that, but to your face, they're nice. In Georgia, they're actually surprisingly like chill with it. Georgia was really nice. People there are super kind. Kentucky people do not like outsiders. People do not like outsiders in Kentucky. When I was in Kentucky, even staying at the hotel rooms, they just kind of give me looks, you know. Like, they just don't like people in Kentucky, which I guess Kentucky was like one of the worst states hit with the exploitation market. Like oil companies or mining companies moved in, basically stripped their resources and left Kentucky broke. So Kentuckians, you know, still remember that, and they still hate outsiders effectively. But DC was similar. Maryland was kind of similar. Maryland has a lot of aggressive people, but it's also the capital, so. But the nicest places I've been to with the kindest people, besides Georgia, were probably California and Oregon. I've always known Portland to be a very kind place because I go up there to meet my uncle a few times, and the people in Portland are overwhelmingly nice. They're all very chill. They're relaxed. If you look like you need help, they will ask if you want help. The people there, they'll never insult you. Well, almost never. I mean, there's always going to be a few assholes here and there, but I have yet to meet one in Portland and in California, surprisingly enough. Although I'm told from resident Californians that there are a lot of assholes in California, and I was just lucky to not run into any. Because everyone that I met in California was fucking amazing. Extremely generous. They knew I was living in my car while I was there because I couldn't afford a hotel room. And they gave me like a care basket, and I'd fucking toasted the shit out of my legs. Like, they were redder than the fucking lobster, like, I swear. And, one really kind lady up there, she gave me a whole jar of the sun stuff, as well as a bunch of snacks and drinks, which definitely helped me get through until I got to Portland, where my uncle could feed me. And everyone I met in LA was fucking amazing, and that is the second place I want to move to, because I know California has the highest cost of living. So if I move to California and I get my SSDI rolled over there, and because it's a very blue state, A, I'm more likely to hold on to the SSDI since Nebraska's trying to get rid of it. And B, I'll also probably have a lot more money, which, is good because I'm spending, just because I get about $1,500 through SSDI, because I used to be a cop. I used to work at the correctional Tecumseh, and I did that for about 2 years. And I quit it on good terms. I put in my 2 weeks and left because I was officially sick of being overworked because I was pulling 90 hours a fucking week. And it was great money. I was making $90K a fucking month. Or $90K a year. It was insane. But, 90 hours a week is hell. I mean, I was young enough to do it. I didn't mind it. But the real reason I quit was because everyone was so fucking stressed because everyone kept quitting and everyone was being overworked that I was having more issues from other staff than I was from the fucking inmates. And yeah, there were some asshole fucking inmates, but you expect that from them. And the rest of the inmates were chill with me because I wasn't a dick to them. I treated them with respect and kindness, and I was firm and consistent. If they fucking did naughty shit, then I fucking did my duty. I from what I could tell, I did a great job. I was fair, and I still did my job, but all the other staff were always just fucking pricks to me. Sometimes they even call me a hugger, which is slang derived from the Hug a Thug program. But I don't want to get too far into that. I got a lot of tax credits for that, so that's why I get so much for disability. And it's $1,500. My rent alone is $800, which is already more than half of it. And then, I'm cutting into groceries are, usually about $400 a month. Which basically brings me up to about $300 left over, which then has to go to, other bills like fucking insurance and internet and phone, and there's the fucking power bill. The power bill's fucking already $200. PBD charges me about $200 a month, and when you calculate all that, I'm losing probably about $100 a month. And sometimes if I really cut my food back, I could only spend $200. But it's definitely like morale decreasing when I do that. I'm basically eating ramen the entire time, and I'm craving all these good foods, and I want to cook. I love cooking, and I can't do that when I'm on that type of a budget. So it's definitely not a comfortable lifestyle. And some people would tell you, well, that's intentional. You're not supposed to be comfortable getting handouts. And I'm all like, well, actually you are, because the more comfortable you are, the faster you can heal. And the faster you can heal, the quicker you can get off disability, which is my end goal. I want to get off of it. I want to be self-sufficient. I want to go back to work because I really loved doing IT. I was good at it. I was fucking amazing at it. I was able to learn how to operate a forest of domains with zero experience within a week to bring a hotel service back online. And not a lot of people can do that. There was a guy with a 2-year degree who was supposed to be, setting up computers, the easiest job in the world, and he didn't even know how to fucking make an account on Windows. He had to follow directions on a screen, and he still got confused. This guy had a 2-year fucking degree in IT, really? And that's, when I have those skills and I have that capacity to learn, really puts you in a state of flow, and you feel like you do, really good. But anyways, yeah, I do want to get back to work, but at the moment I can't, because if I do, I'll get fired, because I'll have, my consistent breakdowns, and I go to the hospital randomly, and jobs cannot handle you disappearing randomly almost monthly. So I can't work until I am confident that I can stay out of the hospital. And considering that I had a fucking 6-month-long breakdown this year, or last year, starting in May, that fucking lasted until probably about fucking September. Yeah, I'm definitely not ready. Because, in that breakdown, I lost so much fucking weight. I almost went to sub 100, and normally I'm about 130, 140 pounds. 138 is my target weight. And I fucking lost 30 pounds. Most of it I lost in the first 2 weeks. I lost 20 pounds in 2 weeks. And then I lost the last 10 pounds over the course of the next month. I almost hit under 100 pounds. But I was able to eventually calm down and get that weight back up. But it was like, it fucked me up. That was the worst breakdown I've ever had. And, I'm still not, I still cry about it sometimes, because people think, oh, you cried over a video game. I'm like, dude, no, I cried because my friends fucking betrayed me and abandoned me. That's what really fucked me up. It was, it was tough, because I have borderline, and social rejection is, someone with borderline's biggest fear, because that's what happens when you get rejected, when you get abandoned, ostracized, when you get banned from a community. You have a really bad breakdown. But as soon as I get that squared away, which hopefully will be soon, because I'm told it kind of resolves itself somewhere in your 30s, hopefully. So if I get that squared away, I'll be back to work. But in the meantime, I could be living in LA with some nice people, The only hitch for that plan is I'm told LA is a very nice place to visit, but a very terrible place to live. And I think I could make it work if I basically avoid the daylight. If I get a nice cheap place with a nice high check, and you know, I shove myself basically asleep during the day and awake during the nights, and I can experience, you know, I can experience the sunsets, the sunrise, and the nightlife where it's a lot cooler, and I can still hang out with all the cool people I met down there. You know, experience LA at its finest. But that's just one plan. Outside of Portland, where I have my uncles to fall back, which, to be honest, is probably the best plan for me. The third option I have is possibly not living anywhere at all and changing my address to California, because that's where I probably will get the most for SSDI. And then just buying a conversion and living out of that. Because I saw some RVs that were really nice, and I know people sell converted vans, you know, which are fully self-sufficient, solar panels, showers, you know, everything. You know, and they just fucking boondock, and you know, I could handle that life because I fucking love traveling, and I know I won't be traveling all the time, you know, with that life. I'll be parked somewhere and just chilling inside the van with a cat and a gaming computer, which is mostly what I do already. But, you know, I'll have all that shit, you know, have a little scooter in the back that I can use to drive to a grocery store and back, so I don't have to drive the van. And then when I ever get that itchy feeling where I just want to travel, I just fucking pack up and I move. You know, I move to a different state, you know, explore that area, you know, and when I get sick of it, move to another, and I get to explore things in detail for the next 10 years, you know, instead of just going on a month road trip in a circle. You know, that'd be fun. The fourth option is, I think I said the fourth option is, oh yeah, the fourth option is Canada. I could also just move up to Canada and miss all of the bullshit going on in the United States right now. I'm told by a friend of mine that because of the state of things, I could actually apply for asylum in Canada, being trans, and they would give me, you know, a social paycheck, you know, because I would be considered a refugee. So that is actually a very real option if I wanted to avoid Canada at all, or avoid the United States entirely. But, and I do have a ton of friends in Canada. I would say about half the friends that I'm really close with actually live in Canada. Canada's got some really cool people, at least online. I've also noticed that Canadians tend to be about as emotionally unstable as Americans, but they aren't as aggressive about it. So Canada's my fourth option. And then the fifth option I stated is the do whatever. If I come up with another plan up along the way, I'll come up with a fifth option. You know, fifth is other, basically. So yeah, one of those five things. Which I guess when the fifth option is literally anything else, it's not exactly one of five things, but that's whatever. Those are my best plans for now. Other things I learned. Definitely the most beautiful state is Oregon. New Mexico is right behind it. Fucking love New Mexico. It was beautiful. I got lost in it because I wanted to go to the Trinity site, and then I found that they were fucking closed and they're only open twice a year, like the first Saturday in April. So that was disappointing, but it's whatever. And then Pennsylvania was probably the third most beautiful state because I came in through Ohio, and the fucking you basically, you're just driving straight, and then suddenly you're on a big ass fucking bridge across between two mountains, and you do that like 3 or 4 times and doing all these twists and curves, and it was beautiful. You got some great sights. I wish I took better pictures, but my camera was in the back and I only had my phone. So, yeah, I didn't take as, beautiful pictures as I fucking wanted. Arizona's also full of assholes. I figured out. The people from Phoenix, particular, are all like, "I'm from fucking Phoenix, bro." Ooh, and they all think they're tough shit because they're from Phoenix. It's like, dude, nobody knows even what Phoenix. Like, people don't think about Phoenix a lot. Like, the major towns that people think of is like fucking Dallas, Houston, LA, all of LA County, DC, and to be honest, people think about Portland more than they think about Phoenix. And that's because Portland's on the news a lot. There's Detroit. People talk about Detroit. Miami, I guess. Miami and Orlando. And then Phoenix is probably the next one up at the bottom of all that list. So Phoenix isn't all that fucking hot. I don't know why they fucking have such a ego about living in Phoenix, but Tucson is a shithole. I mean, it's just, I wasn't expecting it to be. I know Family Guy made jokes about it, but when I was actually down there for a bit, I mean, it was beautiful. They had some, nice images of the mountains nearby, but I mean, the place looked like a fucking ghetto, essentially. But yeah, Arizona, and yeah, I think that's about it. Because I've traveled to all the other different states. Chicago was, Chicago's actually above Phoenix too. People talk about Chicago a lot. Chicago was really unique. Everyone there's depressed, and it definitely has the worst drivers because nobody gives a shit about the traffic laws or the signs or the markings on the road. Everyone's in fucking all over the road. They don't give a shit about lanes. They just go. It's fucking chaos. There was a huge protest when I was down there too, which may have influenced things, but people there always just seem super depressed too. Cleveland is similar, but a little bit happier, but it's also a huge industrial town with a ton of smokestacks. And the entire town looks like South Omaha, which is kind of interesting. It's all brick houses and smokestacks, which is South Omaha, essentially. But I did get some really good food there. There's this breakfast that, for like dirt cheap, they give you a full fucking plate, like a giant ass fucking omelet, like a full-size omelet and everything. It's pretty cheap. It's like, small little hidden gems are like, the best part. And I think that's everything. Yep. Hung out with friends and met them all across the country, and that was pretty cool. I took pictures of all the states that I went through, and I think Montana, and I think like Maine, Vermont, that cluster of states up at the corner. I think those are the only, I guess, 5 states besides Hawaii and Alaska, of course. But outside of those, I think I've pretty much been to every single state at this point. Like, I've driven through and I've stayed at. So, yeah, not many people can say that. It's definitely a trip of a lifetime, and I definitely wish I started it with about twice as much money as I did. Because I'm really short on gas. I'm actually on my last tank, and I'm trying to hope that this is a 6-hour tank so I can get to Omaha in 6 hours without having to fill up, because I'm broke. I don't have any more money. And I had to beg people for about $100. One guy gave me $60 and someone else gave me $40, which hopefully is enough to get me home. But definitely I wish I had twice as much money, because there was a lot of stuff I wanted to buy but couldn't because I was broke. And you could easily spend $100 a day, is what I would calculate for one person, $100 a day. And that would include gas for traveling, because At least with this car, I have a 2003 Buick LeSabre. It gets great gas mileage, and it has a 16-gallon tank, so I could cruise for about 6 hours, 4 to 6, depending on, which way the fucking inclines are going. If I'm going uphill, I'm going to get closer to 5 or 4. If I'm going downhill, I can get 6, maybe 6.5. So it's a really good, tank, and that's driving. And you're gonna fill up, once, maybe even twice a day, which is gonna be about $50 each. But if you're driving that long, you're probably not going to be staying long at places. So you'll eat like a cheap meal, maybe $10, maybe less, and you just keep going on the road. But then when you're at a place, where you actually stop and stay, you live in the back of this car, which is very comfortable, by the way, very comfortable seats, and I'm small enough that I, have all my leg room. I can basically stretch my legs out almost all the way, which is really nice. Perks for being small, but if you're gonna stay there, you're gonna end up spending $100 a day on souvenirs and food. Because if you're at a place like New Orleans, NOLA, you have to eat at NOLA. It's they got some amazing soul food down there, and that's going to be like $20 or $30, depending on how fancy you get. And then you're also going to want to buy a few souvenirs, which could cost you up to $60, depending on how many you want to get. You can get like a $10 magnet. You can get like a $30 fucking t-shirt or a fucking little trinket, and if you wanted to go on any tours of anything, you're probably going to spend another $15 for, a tour. So, about $100 is pretty much what you're going to want to have per day on a trip like this. So I started off with about $1,500, plus about the $400 I would have spent on groceries. Well, $300, I guess. And I had that was about like $1,800, and I definitely started to get way too short on money very quickly. So I had to ask my brother to send me another $1,000, which he owed me anyways. But even that money fucking disappeared, and we're looking at this is like $2,800, which is roughly about what I got. Plus there was 2 incidents where I needed to get an oil change, and I also had to get a motel out of my own pocket 3 times. First time was in Virginia, and my friend was going to get me one, but he ended up not being able to because he was tight for cash, and I wasn't going to beg someone who's tight for cash. Like, someone said they have $10 left and they could give me that, and I was like, if you only have $10 to give, you keep it, you need it more than I do. But I had to stay in a motel in Virginia. I got a really cheap one. It was like fucking $70, and it was super fucking nice too. It was just right across the river from DC in Virginia. The guy at the front desk, we chatted for an hour before I fucking went to bed. He was really cool. And then I had to get that because my mom was like, do not fucking sleep in your car in DC. You will get disappeared because it's all federal police. The Secret Service will, you'll find out you're trans and they'll just disappear you. Or worse, you'll get like broken into by some of the fucking homeless, insane people that live there. Because yeah, DC is pretty fucking lawless. Baltimore is a shithole. Baltimore's bad. I didn't even go to Baltimore. Everyone told me to avoid it. And Baltimore's bad. I didn't experience it for myself, but I didn't want to get fucking shot, so I had to get in a hotel that night because my mom was freaking out. And then in fucking Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, which is a beautiful fucking place. Definitely gonna go back there one day. Instead of sleeping in my car, I made the dumbass fucking choice of getting a $200 Holiday Inn hotel. And that was fucking stupid of me, because that put me $200 into the fucking hole. And that kind of fucked me a little bit. So, and then, then I had to get the oil change. And then I also got another $70. Actually, I got two $70 hotels, so I actually got 4 hotels. The third one I got was when I was in Louisville. And the hotel I wanted to stay at was booked, which was the Golden Manor, which is actually a location in Muldra, which is featured in the game Project Zomboid. So I was like, hell yeah, I want to stay there. But they were booked. They were booked full. And apparently they're always booked full all year long. So I went to this down the street and got this super shitty motel that was $70, didn't even have a heater. It was freezing. The mattresses were cardboard, and the fucking blankets were fucking paper, and I didn't even trust using the blanket, so I pulled in my weighted blanket I brought with me. And dude, I was so uncomfortable. I would have had the same comfort level, probably even more comfort, if I just stayed in my fucking car. So that was another waste of money. And then when I was in LA, when I got really badly sunburnt, I needed to wash my legs and I needed to rest them. And they were burning like crazy, and sleeping in my car was not going to be a fun option, if I had fucking done that. So I had to get a motel room that night just so I could lather my legs with the fucking lotion that I got. And then also like take a shower to kind of clean them so they don't get infected. So those motel rooms really fucking sucked me dry. And I was still about $200 short of having $3,000. So I ended up being really short this trip. And even with, penny pinching all my shit and trying not to buy a lot, I still found myself, with nothing. And then, on top of that, I didn't pay my fucking electric bill last month. So I tried to have myself a little extra $200. So I'm actually about $200 in debt right now. I'm probably going to go home to no power. So that's going to be fun. But it's whatevs. But yep, that's all I gotta say about this fucking nationwide road trip. It was a lot of fun. I was definitely way happier. I should stay this way. I was definitely way happier doing this trip than I've probably been my entire life, because I love exploring. So I definitely want to do this trip again at some point, because this was an experience of a lifetime. And it definitely improved my mental state by a lot. So, yep, final day of the trip. Gonna be home about 6 hours. I bet nobody's gonna fucking watch this 30 fucking minute rant vlog or whatever, but I post videos on my channel mostly for myself anyways. I don't care about having an audience. So yep, that is it. I will see you guys later. Peace out.